Hi Year 6, welcome back to the Highland Falcon Thief, and today's chapter is Chapter 7, The Firth of Forth. The Highland Falcon pulled her sleeping passengers through the dark, tossing steam over their heads like fleeting dreams as she climbed the East Coast main line. The shutters of level crossings bowed as she approached the ghostly cobwebs of roads around towns. A little after midnight her brakes sang gently, and she halted in a siding to take on coal and water. With a tender full of fuel and her pipes hissing fresh steam, the Highland Falcon clanked back onto the main line streaming towards Scotland. Hal, wake up! You've got to see this. It was light. Hal blinked, opening his eyes. Uncle Nat beckoned him down from his bunk. The blind was up and the curtains open. Hal saw a clear expanse of blue stretching to the horizon. He pressed his face into the glass and realised that they were travelling across a giant bridge made from a lattice of red iron that stretched as far as he could see in either direction. Where are we? North of Edinburgh, Uncle Nat pulled the window down. Crossing over the Firth of Forth. He put his head out and shouted, "Take a look at this!" Wriggling in between his uncle and the windows, Hal stuck his head out. "The Forth Bridge!" Uncle Nat whooped. "One of the greatest railway bridges of the world." You can see there. The Highland Falcon blew her whistle and Hal felt a thrill as the train rocketed across the high bridge, the water shimmering far below. In the distance, the river became the sea, rolling out to meet a bright blue sky. The rhythmic clatter of the train on the rails made the ironwork of the bridge vibrate and ring. "Over 2.5 kilometres long," Uncle Nat shouted, "and 4,000 men to build it." "Marvellous!" They ducked their heads back inside, and Uncle Nat shut the window. "You're covered in coal smuts," he chuckled, turning Hal to face the mirror. Hal laughed. "So are you." Uncle Nat handed him a hot flannel and he wiped his face. "We'll be arriving at Ballater, the station nearest Balmoral Castle, around midday. We probably won't eat till nearly 2, Uncle Nat said. "We'll need a hearty breakfast." In the dining car, Stephen Pickle was stood nose to nose with Gordon Gould. If she had lost it, he jabbed a finger at Gordon's shoulder to punctuate the word, it would have been found by now. "It's not in our compartment, so it must have been nicked." "Is there a problem?" Uncle Nat asked. "You bet there's a problem," Stephen Pickle growled. "I was telling Jobsworth here that I want the train searched. One of his crooked crew has pocketed my wife's diamond brooch." "All my attendants have a long history of serving the royal family," stammered Gordon. "They're completely trustworthy." "Someone's pinched it," snarled Stephen Pickle, stepping back. He looked at Hal, narrowing his eyes. "And when I catch them, I'm going to wring their neck." He stomped away, plonking himself down at a table opposite his wife, who was wearing sunglasses. Wheat fields, framed by beech hedgerows, rolled past the windows as Hal and his uncle ordered breakfast. Hal was sketching the Forth Bridge when Lady Lansbury arrived in a cloud of white dogs, greeting everyone cheerfully as she sailed through the carriage. Hal reached out under the table and ruffled Bailey's fur as she passed. He turned to a clean page in his sketchbook and started to draw the dog. "It's disgusting," Stephen Pickle grumbled loudly to Lady Lansbury, his knife and fork clattering down onto his plate. "We're victims of crime, and no one else is doing anything about it. My wife's a wreck." Lydia nodded her head, but didn't lift her sunglasses. "My dear," said Lady Lansbury, placing a hand on her shoulder, "are you unwell?" Sick to my stomach," Lydia replied. "Remember my twinkling bow, the one covered in diamonds that I was wearing last night? It's gone, stolen." "Cost me the price of a house, that thing," Stephen Pickle grumbled. "Oh my!" Lady Lansbury a hand went to her throat. "Are you quite sure?" "Positive," Stephen Pickle replied for his wife. "Aren't you?" Lydia opened her mouth, but he kept on talking. "I'm not happy, Lady Lansbury, not happy at all, because someone forgot to add it to our insurance. Still, no one pilfers from a pickle and gets away with it." Lady Lansbury pursed her lips and looked around. "Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but your troubles make me bold enough to share something odd that has happened to me." She paused. I too appear to have lost some valuable jewellery. It was in my vanity case, but now, well, it seems to have gone missing. Lydia Pickle gasped. No way! Then there is a thief on the train. Rowan Buck, my gentleman in waiting, looked everywhere this morning. I can be quite a scatterbrain, of course, and I have so many jewels. It's common for me to lose one from time to time. But hearing your story, well, I'm now wondering. What did they take? My pearl earrings, a beautiful pair of natural pearls the size of blueberries in antique diamond settings. I was wearing them last night at dinner. Oh, Lydia squealed. That's when my brooch went missing, last night before dinner. Stephen Pickle swivelled in his seat and pointed at Hal. You were loitering outside Lady Lansbury's compartment last night. I saw you. All the passengers in the dining car fell silent and looked at Hal, and he felt himself go bright red. I caught him sneaking about, Stephen Pickle continued. Hal's voice stuck in his throat. Did you take something from my room, young man? Lady Lansbury asked. As a game, perhaps? If you did, it would be best to own up now. Hal shook his head. I wanted to see your dogs. I love dogs. He's lying, Stephen Pickle said. Lady Lansbury narrowed her eyes. Now then, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Uncle Nat stood up. His voice was calm and reasonable. I suggest that you both report your suspected crimes to the police once we arrive at Ballater, and allow the proper authorities to look into the matter. He nodded and sat down to show that the conversation was finished. I'm watching you, Stephen Pickle growled at Hal. Thieving little brat. Mr. Pickle, if you level one more accusation at my nephew, I will report you to the police for harassment. Uncle Nat calmly folded his napkin. Now, let that be an end to the matter. Stephen Pickle opened his mouth to say something and then shut it. He picked up his fork and stabbed it into a piece of black pudding on his plate. Gordon, Uncle Nat called over the head steward. We'll take breakfast in our room this morning, please. Of course, sir. I didn't steal anything, Uncle Nat, I promise, Hal said, as soon as they were safely back in their compartment. Of course you didn't. I know that. Mr. Pickle is a buffoon and a bully. Lydia Pickle probably misplaced the brooch. It will turn up in their compartment. You'll see. Breakfast arrived on a tray with fold-down legs, like the one Hal had seen Amy leave outside the door in the royal carriage yesterday. What if there is a jewel thief? Hal said, picking up Ernest White's newspaper. Look, it said someone stealing precious jewels from high society people in London. What if the thief is on board the train? Well, if they are, we've got nothing to worry about, said Uncle Nat, as he poured them each a glass of orange juice. We haven't got anything worth stealing. But if there is a thief, shouldn't we try to catch them? Hal, in a few short hours the Prince and Princess will be boarding this train with their royal guard. Only a lunatic would steal from such a secure place. Uncle Nat took a bite of his toast. Trust me, there are no thieves on this train. And that's the end of the chapter. What do you think? Do you think there's a thief on the train? Chapter 8, which I'll read tomorrow, is called A Royal Stowaway. See you later.